Hi everyone, I'm Bazikyan from Bazikyan Law Group. I am a trusts and estates attorney here in Los Angeles, and today I wanted to talk to you about a question that I get asked all the time. I wanted to answer it for you, and that is, what is an estate plan? A lot of times I hear people calling it a state plan with an S. It's actually estate, E-S-T-A-T-E, meaning the person's estate. And an estate plan is actually a series of legal documents. And when we put together these different legal documents, we make a plan for the unexpected. And when we're talking about the unexpected, we're talking about two different scenarios. The first one would be death, and the second one is incapacity. So what we want to do is put together a plan of action for you and your family that's going to cover what happens if you pass away, and it will also cover what happens if you don't pass away, but you are mentally or physically incapable of doing things on your own. So I'll give you an example. For example, David and Sally are married. They come into my office and we put together a plan of action for them. They have 2 minor children. Now the backbone for their estate plan will be a trust, most likely, but we want to make sure that all of their assets are covered and all of their wishes and all of their family members are covered. So when we put together a plan of action for them, depending on the type of assets they have, they will likely have a trust in place in California, and the trust is our backbone because it actually helps us avoid that court process, and we've talked about this in previous videos. But they might not need a trust depending on the type of assets they have. So it's very specific to every individual or couple's needs. So let's just say that we're putting together a plan of action for them and they tell me, you know, when I pass away, I want this and this and this to happen. And when we both pass away, we want this other thing to happen. And we want the kids to receive it in these different proportions, whether it's ages or different conditions, graduation from college, whatever their goals are for their children in the future, we kind of integrate that within their plan to make it kind of come true using the trust assets as a motivation for them. So we really do sit down and we talk about what their plans are for the future and how we can make their successors put it into work when they're not around. And then at the same time, we want to cover a scenario of what actually happens if one of them is not passed away necessarily, but just nearly incapacitated and on the verge of passing away, or even temporarily disabled. We want to put a plan of action together that's going to cover that scenario so that once again, we don't have to go to court and get a conservatorship. So when we're talking about an estate plan and these series of documents, our main goal is to avoid the court processes completely. Whether that's probate for death or conservatorship for incapacity, we don't want to go to court. We want the family to deal with it on their own. And the backbone of that usually is a living trust. There might be other documents that come into play that minimize taxes and maximize the outcome for the beneficiaries, meaning what goes into the beneficiaries' pockets. So it's really a series of documents that we put together that's unique to that person or that couple's needs. Your estate plan and my estate plan should not look the same. And if it does, then there's a problem, right? Because everyone's goals are different, everyone's needs are different, every person's assets are different, and what they envision for their beneficiaries are different. So an estate plan, in a nutshell, is basically different types of documents, and we kind of combine them into one little booklet, and they do different things. They have different jobs that they're put in place to accomplish. So one document will cover incapacity and how we deal with your health. What happens when you are in a vegetative state? Should your successors or your spouse or your children pull the plug? Should they keep you alive for a certain amount of time? What conditions are okay for you? So we kind of go through a series of conversations, and at the end we come up with a plan that you feel comfortable with and that will actually in real life work out. It's not necessarily on paper that it's great, but practically speaking, when time comes, it will actually function well. And I think that's the key between a great comprehensive estate plan and one that is prepared by individuals that are not necessarily focused on this field. With a comprehensive estate plan that's well drafted and well executed and put together, you're going to actually have a plan that not only looks great on paper, but that will actually function in the real world. So that's pretty much what an estate plan is. It's just a series of documents. We put it together and we cover 2 different scenarios that are unexpected, and hopefully it gives you some ease of mind and puts you at ease when you're moving throughout the next chapter in your life. And the cost of the estate plan also varies as well. And that's the second question I get, is how much does an estate plan cost? It really does vary from person to person, and it varies from types of assets to another. You might have an estate plan with one trust. Another individual might have an estate plan that actually includes multiple different types of trusts that come into play. So it is all very specific to you and your needs. I encourage you to take advantage of our free consultations. Come by the office, sit with me, chat with me, and we could talk about you and your needs and put together a plan of action that's good for you. Hope to see you soon. Bye.